episode of The Soul Finder. Before we get into the topic today, I want to encourage you to go to thesoulfinder.com, which is not a website. Go to kathydcarter.com. You need to buy thesoulfinder.com. Yeah.
I need to look at that.
If you don't do it immediately after leaving this office,
it's going to be
I'll buy
gone.
it and I'll sell it back to you.
Right.
For profit. kathydcarter.com. You can find all about Kathy. I'm going to assume, which is a problem, I shouldn't do this, that if you're listening to this episode, you've probably listened to other episodes, so you may already know about Kathy, but that website is full of information and has an archive of past episodes and a link to an audio stream where you can listen to Kathy all day long. Today, Kathy, I want to talk about me.
Good.
I want to
love it.
Talk about what's going on with Free Donation Productions.
Okay.
And bring it to you.
Okay.
Because I like running this stuff by you.
Right. Okay.
As one of my clients, you know that I'm basically a one-man operation.
Right.
I'm very comfortable where I'm at.
Right.
But if I want to take it to the next level, and we've talked about this, I can't do it by myself. I've got to hire people.
Right.
And I hired a young lady named Mandy who is incredible. And she's going to be marketing and representing. And then this week I started a guy named Tony. And Tony is, I think he's early 30s. I'm going to call him 31. And he's got Asperger's.
Okay.
And if you don't know what Asperger's is, it's a form of autism on the spectrum. And I work with Special Olympians and special needs. I have a passion for it. And Tony is, you're not supposed to use the term, or at least I don't like the term highly functioning.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what people understand. So very, very, very good person. And I'm going to tell you this. If you've ever worked with special needs individuals, they can be the greatest workers on the face of the earth.
Oh, yes.
They take immense amount of pride in their job.
Yes.
They love their work. They love contributing. They not only pleases them, but they want to please you. And it can be the greatest of all situations.
Yes.
Now, it can also be a challenge, but everyone can be a challenge.
Right.
And that's the thing I think a lot of people, and I'll raise my hand before I really started working with special needs. I don't even like saying special needs
I know,
anymore,
I don't either.
But it is. And if you're just being honest, they do have special needs.
Mm-hmm.
And before I started working with them, I had a misconception that they're a huge challenge.
Right.
And you had to be up to the challenge. There's a little bit of truth to that. You have to be up to the challenge. But the truth of the matter, the vast amount of the truth is everyone's a challenge.
Right.
Whether you're special needs or not.
Right.
And these individuals, in a lot of cases, are a lot less challenging than what are called typicals.
Mm-hmm.
You give them an assignment, they're going to accomplish it if they can.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give them direction, they're going to follow that direction. And so started Tony. The other thing I like working about working with not only the special needs, but younger people.
Right.
And this is an ego thing. I think I've got a lot to offer.
No, I think it's a beautiful thing because younger people keep us alive. They keep us going. I think it's a great thing to.
Well, it's an ego thing to think that I can give them
share
great
your
advice.
Wisdom.
And, yeah.
Hey.
But I thought that when I was 20 also.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that I can
okay.
give people.
So you think, well, maybe you've had that kind of wisdom
I think
all
I'm
along.
pretty good upstairs.
Uh-huh.
But that leads us to the topic today. And now we're 4.5 minutes into this thing. I've wasted too much time talking about that. The topic today is I was talking to Tony about this. And I was explaining to him that client services.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, this whole business, I told Tony, you're not going to be dealing directly with clients. I'm going to give you specific instructions, and I'm going to tell you, and I didn't say this, but much like Kathy D. Carter, where Kathy says, where you'll say, today, here's the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
That could change tomorrow. I told Tony, I said, for certain clients that I have, or that we have, because you're part of the team now, certain, I keep pointing to this chair over here.
He said over there.
If you're listening, you can't see this, but I'm pointing to where Tony was sitting when I told him this. But there are certain rules and certain principles and best practices. So I'll be sending you audio to edit and say, hey, just like every other episode, I want you to edit the ums and the stuttering and the dead air and do this. Those are general rules. But some of my clients have different expectations, different desires. So I may send you one and say, keep the ums in, but so it's not always going to be the same. And just because you and I disagree doesn't mean that we need to force our ideas on them.
Right. Right.
And
customer's always right.
Well, yeah, but I didn't want to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more than that with me. It's just because I think something and just because I know I'm right doesn't mean that the person sitting across the desk, whether it's a client or a friend or a family member, doesn't mean they can't have a different point of view.
Right. Exactly.
And I was trying to explain that to Tony I was trying to teach him a bigger lesson in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and here's the other thing, and this is where I want to go with you on this.
Okay.
Is it even in this world where, we talked about scams and scammers and the way the world's out to get us at sometimes, what are we doing to contribute to that? And I explained to him that anything quote, and I put bad in quotes, anything bad that happens to me, even if it's not my fault, I've done something to either contribute to it, or maybe not roll with it the proper way. And so, even if it's something bad, I need to look at myself first before I start pointing the finger at anyone else and say, okay, how did I fall for that scam? Or what did I do to allow this person to upset me so much? Because ultimately, I need to be in control of my life and my emotions. And I can't let anyone else be responsible for that. Even if they're the ones that have done the damage, I'm the one that allowed it to happen. Does that make sense?
I hear you. Any more to say on that?
Maybe after you respond.
Okay. So, you control your life and emotions, and you allowed it to happen somehow. How do you tell a 4-year-old?
Yeah, I knew that's where you're going to go.
How do you tell a 4-year-old that them getting beaten with a belt?
You don't.
Okay, so where's it stop?
It stops.
This is a trap. Be careful.
No, it's not. Well, I know it is, but it's a good trap because it happens. And I don't want to identify the people. I know I'm answering a different question.
Okay.
Because you said, when does it stop? It stops when you get old enough to let your past stop impacting you. And your past is going to impact you. I'm not dumb enough to think that something like that is not going to impact you. But at some point, maybe in your adult life, you've got to stop letting that past sabotage your future. And no, it's not your fault. And that's kind of what I was saying. It's not your fault that this happened to you, but at some point, the way you react to it is going to be your fault. And that,
I know.
I don't want to be so
tricky.
absolute about
I know.
it. But at some point, as you get older and as you mature and as you learn, You've got to say, I didn't do anything when I was 4 years old to deserve that. I was a victim, but I'm not going to be a victim anymore. It's easy for me to say that because I was never beaten as a child or
right.
sexually molested or had to go through trauma like that.
Mm-hmm. The next question I would have for you is, how did the people that were shot at the Allen Mall? That's
another episode that I want to do, but go ahead.
Okay.
We'll do it later. But
you sure?
Yeah.
How did they contribute to that?
Okay. They didn't contribute to that.
They allowed it to happen?
No. Once again, things are going to happen. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the way I see it, and you, maybe not you, other people would kill me, like figuratively, for having this thought. But the 8 people that didn't deserve to die, gosh, I hate to be so cliche. They're in a better place now.
Right.
They didn't contribute to that. They didn't deserve it. But my faith tells me that they're in a better place.
What about the ones that's still alive?
The ones that are still alive? And this is a great question. And it walks into, I hope I can put it into words. The ones that are still alive can be great examples. And this is, I'm going to get emotional about this, not because of them, but this is a way my special needs friends are great examples.
Right.
And I say this about my special needs friends, and I can say this about the survivors of that Allen shooting, or survivors of any. But I'll specifically, special needs people, through no fault of their own, none whatsoever. The survivors of the Allen shooting, no fault of their own, were put in a position that is an awful position. Mm-hmm. And what they can do is either be victims and feel sorry for themselves and be bitter, or they can be examples of, here's how you can overcome, and so the survivors, and it's not going to be easy for a lot of them to do.
Right.
But they can take that opportunity to not just be victims of a shooting that was not their fault and they were put in bad positions, but they can take control to the point where they can be examples for others and really live a great life. Absolutely.
And I do a card reading every week now. I try to. I was a day late today. I usually send it out on Friday in my newsletter, and I pull a card and I read it and explain it to the newsletter group. And the one today was role model. Mm-hmm. So it fits in perfectly with what you were talking.
So I love doing this with you.
And here, listen to this. So I sent this out to some of my clients. Tina Turner said, quote, "People think my life has been tough, but I think it's been a wonderful journey. The older you get, the more you realize it's not what happened, it's how you deal with it." And I think that sums up exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Because it is, and it's whether we look at it negatively as a victim or we look at it in the lightest way that we can, and that's after the processing of the emotions and stuff. This doesn't mean you immediately jump up and you're able to go say, oh, this was wonderful and I'm going to be a role model on this. But you see the best that you can until you have the processing of emotions done, what you can make good of this and how you can be a good role model for others on how to handle these kinds of situations.
And I think you'll agree with this. I wouldn't blame anyone, any survivor of that shooting,
right,
for feeling like a victim or being bitter and being mad.
Absolutely
would not blame them at all.
That's the emotion.
But I would say that you're not doing yourself any good.
Right. But now you do have to allow a period of time for the processing of the emotions. So yes, they're going to be bitter. They're going to have hate. They're going to have anger. They're going to have all kinds of emotions that are real, because you cannot invalidate someone's emotions. Whatever they feel is real for them. And if they don't process those emotions, then it gets stored in the energy field. Then it controls the rest of their life until they heal it. And it causes illness if enough is in the energy field.
Okay, can I say something, though, on this?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not hypocritical, but you need to prepare. And I'm not saying you need to prepare to be shot. For example.
Let's hope it doesn't get to that.
And I keep pointing to myself. And everything that happened to me with this, and everything good, I think kind of happened by accident. And I'll go to the end first. When I woke up from my coma,
right? And
if you've listened to any of these episodes, we talk about it. I was on life support for close to 6 weeks, 5. I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
And that's part of the way I look at it.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. I don't even know how long I was on.
It's okay.
Because it doesn't matter.
Now it doesn't matter.
And I worry about that because I talk about it, and there's a lot of facts I don't have because I'm not interested.
Well, it's already done.
Yeah. So there's no point in me, but there may be, if I'm going to be telling the story, I may want to kind of solidify some of these numbers I'm giving, but anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks, I'm on life support.
Yeah.
And I woke up with a very good attitude, I think, from what I can remember. And it wasn't just luck that I woke up with the attitude of, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to tackle
you'd
this?
Always been that way,
It
right?
was a lifetime of, first of all, I think I was born with that attitude, and I'm very thankful for that. And it was a lifetime of learning, and it wasn't just flipping a switch. Whereas I do think that it's quite possible that the survivors of a shooting are going to have to cram for that test. They didn't have a lifetime of gratitude and being prepared for that moment. Whereas others may immediately say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be a good role model. I'm going to react to this in the way I've trained myself, or I've been trained to react. I'm going to look for the positive. I'm going to be grateful that that my life was spared in this. It could have gotten a lot worse. And I'm going to help other people. That's not necessarily a natural reaction unless that's the way you've trained yourself and maybe born with that trait to be grateful and to have gratitude and to look for reasons to have gratitude.
Right, because that is, there's so many things to say here. So that is, I would totally agree with everything you're saying. The thing that I probably have to put as an addendum to what you're saying is still about the processing of the emotion. And the ability to switch your life has happened instantaneously for many people, and in a situation like that can do it. For example, an observer that was there could have had a very negative life up to this point, and that event could have switched them instantly to, oh, I need to say bye to everyone when I leave them because I may not see them again. Okay. I may decide to live my life in this moment and not be spending all my time in the past or in the future. I will instantly be grateful for the life I have right now and try to appreciate it and move forward in a different manner. Mm-hmm. So I think they could have been negative, and it didn't take lifetime or years of practice for them to turn that around and see what's right. Because it's all about seeing what's right as opposed to seeing what's wrong. The victim sees what's wrong. Mm-hmm. The person that sees what's right is the one you're describing, the one that is a good role model and sees everything, the best in every situation that is out there. But I still have great empathy for the people, even the ones that observed, that were there that day. I had a friend that was there right before it happened, just a few hours and left before it happened, and he was affected. His energy field was definitely affected from having been there and then knowing that happened.
Oh, in the episode I want to do specifically about this, I'll tell you how it impacted me.
Okay.
Because it definitely did. And when I look in the mirror and realize how it impacted me, I'm not necessarily proud of it.
Well, here's the thing of it. People, we have to remember that anger, hate, love, joy, I'm just going to use those 4. They're all valid. This whole entire earthly experience in a physical body is about emotions. That's our dashboard. Remember, I've said that so many times. Emotions are our dashboard. Any trigger, of those emotions is a way that we heal if we know how to use it. And for a person to be hateful and a victim and angry and just sad and grieving, those are all valid, and that has to be validated in that person. What we don't want is them getting stuck in it. We have to feel it, heal it, release it. So that process can be different times, periods for different people. So it's just a matter of letting each person process their emotions, and then that's when we talk about how you're looking at things and how you go on.
And as we wrap this one up, I think I know I definitely want to make it clear, and I've already said this once, and I think you agreed. I'm not scoreboarding anyone who is going to be bitter or upset if they witnessed it and impacted them negatively. Look, they have every right, and I'm not looking down upon
Oh, absolutely
them,
not.
But I am going to tell you this, that I think right now, no, but I think forever, that you're not doing yourself any good if you're going to be bitter about it, if you're going to let it impact you in a negative way for a long time.
Okay, and I want to add something to that. Except, there is an exception, and the way I am working with clients right now, the exception to that is there are different chemistries in the body that can be out of balance that can honestly keep a person from switching from negative to positive.
Okay.
There are different things in the body and energy field that a person can try to change a habit. They can try over and over and over, or they try any type of thing like that to improve themselves. There are legitimate, I'm just going to say reasons, because they can be in any of the energy fields, being physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. Imbalances and things that can occur can cause a person to keep from being able to do that. And I have a lot of techniques, and especially in the future, I've got a plan here. I'm getting some training on a new device that is going to help me be able to help those people get out of that trap. Yes, I'm so excited.
That sounds very. How much more can you talk about that?
It is basically futuristic, so a lot of people won't buy into it because you don't even have to be present for me to scan your body. And it is, it kind of like amplifies what I'm able to do. It kind of like verifies it and gives me more specific details as to, oh, this is what the person needs first. We need to do this before they're going to be able to change their eating patterns. Uh-huh. You see what I mean? So it's going to really help me help people that get stuck and they just can't seem to get out of the rut. So
Cool.
It's going to be really exciting. Yes.
All right. I look forward to talking more about that.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathy.